Hello everyone, this is Roger Rosado. I'm one of the developers on the spatial development team, and I'm here to talk about the last session on Map Manager. This is part 6, and what we're going to be discussing is the advanced settings. Now, before we move on, I just hope that these are some of the prerequisites that hopefully you guys gone through and have some knowledge on. Obviously, I would like for you guys to have gone through part 1 of Map Manager and some knowledge of Maximo and spatial configurations. Now, these are some helpful links. You've seen these before. The bottom one is a new link that you might not be aware of. It's for using the summary under map tips. And this is a link of how to do that. It was initiated by the scheduler team. And we'll go through that, show an example of this. Okay, this is going to be a live demo, and we're going to first attack the auto create functionality. Okay, we're at the start page, start center. Now we're going to move to Map Manager. Map 1, and as you can see, we're going to work on the advanced setting tab. So auto create. What does auto create actually do? It was created for working order and service requests. It's, for example, if you have an asset and there's a feature object associated with that asset, which points to a certain location, and if you create work orders against it or serve requests against it, and you would like to create feature objects for work order or service requests, you can so by a special uh, uh, function that you can run that will automatically create these objects at the same location point as where the asset is. And of course, you have to have, work order and service request feature classes in order for this to work. Now, in the Map Manager main tab, when we created map services on the Maximal data, we created a few service layers: work point, service request point, and service address point. At some cases, you may have more than one, but when you configure in the advanced setting, you can only select one work order GIS object that you would like to create against. So for example, the work order, only the work order feature classes will show up. Many times you will only see one, but if there's more than one, you got to select the one that you want. And this work order label is an optional setting. You don't have to set anything here. And what it'll do is it will take the work order num and put it somewhere in the feature object attribute. So for example, we don't have much in the work order feature. So I'm just going to click description. So what it will do is that when we do create the work order at the same location as, for example, an asset, he will copy the work order num into this description label. And I'll show you that in a little bit. And the same thing with service request here. They behave the same. So you can go over here and select the service request that you want and the label that you want to put the, I believe it's the address num for that in there. So I believe it's address. Let's look again. Here, let's look at the service request, and it would be the MX ticket ID. I was far off. So MX ticket ID. So let's go and create one. So that's all there is to this setting here, just these two. So now I'll go through and show you how you can create auto create work order and service request. Let's go to assets. Yes, I do want this to save. And let's create a new one. Say asset test, say 20. Why not? And this is a auto create example. Okay, save that. Let's go to the map. Zoom out a little bit. Let's go to, why not, King's College here, right in the corner here. So let's create a hydrant here and put it right at this corner. All right, it's created. I don't want to fill anything out. I can if I wanted to. I'm just going to close it. And it's found right there. You can see. And we go back to assets. The feature class is created. And you saw where the location is on the map. Again, I'll point out it's at King's College right there. So let's go back to assets. What we're going to do is we are going to create a work order. Let's say work order test AC1. Let's say work order test AC1. Press OK. And then we're going to create a different one. We're going to create a service request here. SR test AC1. Service request test AC1. Okay. So we have created a service request and a work order for this asset. Now you know where the feature class is. There's a location. I believe it was King's College. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the work tab, or you can manually go to either work orders or service request applications. But we're just going to come here real quick, and we see that work orders, we have this associated to it. When we go to it, this work order that we created, there is no feature class associated with it, and we would like one. So what we'll do is right on the left hand side down here, we'll scan down to the auto create work order spatial. When we click on that, you can see that it confirms whether you want to continue or not. And you say okay, and boom, it's done. So the feature class that we defined is here. And if we go to the map, you can see the work order test AC was created. Now, if we go and identify, we click on that and go to the work order point that we just created, you can see that this is the work order test AC. Expand this if I can. Here you go. It's a description. Remember we set that up? So that's where we copied the work order num. I believe the M in front of it means it's the parent. There's no child underneath it. That's the main one. So that is the work test AC1, you see. So I did it. It worked. Great. Now I'm going to demonstrate the same for, let me return, for service requests, the tickets. That's it. That's the one we created. Go to service request. Pretty simple enough. There's no feature associated with it in the feature class here. Come over here, auto create. I do want to create it. Great. And then when I go to the maps, you should point at that same location as where the others are. So here you are right here. So to determine that they're all here, I can do a quick query here. Just select for now, let's select the there. It's not no. And there, and then search. And there it is. At that same point, you can see that we have service request and work order in that same location. And of course, assets in there if I was to query for an asset. And I believe it was hydrogen. Close that for a second. And hydrogen here. Search. And there it is. You can see that in that specific location that all three of them are there. Cool. So that is it for auto locate. Just want to show you again. Oh yeah, let me show you the SR. Hold on, let me bring that back so I can clear it. Let me do the information. Click right on here. Search for the ticket item, service request. There it goes, the ticket. And right at this description, remember when I set that up, it just copies the MX ticket ID. I mean the ticket ID from Maximo. And of course, we put max. This one is already set because that's part of our where clause. But you know, just in case it wasn't one of them, we could have just have it here where it says the actual ticket ID. So that's it. It's basically it. So let's go back. To Map Manager, Advanced Settings. Oops, wrong Map Manager. Advanced Settings. So we've gone through the work order. That was it. That's all that's done. That's all it does. So now we're going to talk about auto locate. I'm going to show you how auto locate works and you know show you how the operation is. Unfortunately, the setting configuration here is just for labeling text information onto the auto locate for the unlinked feature to pop up some information on it. These don't currently work right now, but I'll show you how the auto locate and what it is and how it operates. And I'll show you where these messages should appear. So at least at this first release, this doesn't seem to be functioning correctly. But let's go and do that. Let's go to assets. Now I'm going to show you two examples of the auto locate. I created two already here. The first one we'll go to is this first asset, test 3. And you can see there is no feature class associated to it. but there is a service address associated to it. Now, there could be other things like they could have work orders or anything else that will also work. But we're just having the service address as an example. So when we go to the service address, this service address actually has a feature class associated to it. So when you go to a map, he's here at Greeley Square. So when I go back here and I go to assets, as you can see, asset feature class is not set, but it would auto locate himself to the service request. So he knows that you're talking about the asset that's located here defined by the service request. And you can see here, um, highlight over it. It tells you it's asset test 3. That's good. The only thing is that no other label shows up. Unfortunately, that like I told you before, is not functioning correctly for this initial release of spatial. But it would be. It would pop up somewhere here to tell you some of those additional labels that you've seen. But in either case, it does tell you what it is. There it goes. And it tells you the asset test 3, everything about it. At this location, which was derived from the service request. Now let's pick a different one that I thought might be interesting to you. Is another auto locate with a service address, but it's only set by the coordinate system. So when we go to the service address of this one, there is no feature object associated to it, but there is an address information associated to it and the lat and longitude of this. And you can see by going to the map where the location is. It's on 34th Street. If I zoom out, you probably can see it a little better. There it goes, 34th Street, just where it says here on the formatted address. So when we return back to the asset, which has no feature class associated, and also the service address has no feature associated to it, we still can point onto the map where this asset is located, which is defined by the service address. So when we go to the map, it would auto-locate itself onto it, and there it is. And there's asset test 4. Even though there is no feature object associated, it still points onto the map. Unfortunately, there's no other auto-locate configuration with the labeling. Seems to be not functioning correctly. So I don't know what the future of that's going to hold, but just let you know. At least you know how the auto-locate works. Okay. And, and I hope you guys go through the configuration document. It gives you more details explaining the different types of auto locate and auto create, how they work and stuff. So hopefully you touch on the links. All right, let's go to Map Manager. Again, settings, and that's it. That's the only 2 things that we had to worry about in advanced settings. Now I want to go back to a few sessions ago. We were in map tips and we wanted to discuss about, we're going to specifically talk about work orders here and summary tab. We want to show how where this is done. This was initially created by the scheduler team, and I do have a link for it. I showed it in the PowerPoint with the link for more information. But I'm going to go through step by step how to do this, at least one example of how this is done. So let's go back. So what it tells you to do is actually go to the application designer, look under work order, Map tab, select the map controller here, get the map properties. On the data source ID, we'll enter results show list. Exit out of here, save, go back to assets here. Now, I already created one for you. I didn't want to go through the process of doing it. So what I did was I created an asset test here. I created the object on the map. And what I did was I created two working orders at the same point. And they're also, if we go to them, they have a feature class associated, feature object associated, both of them. So since there are two here, if we go to, basically the summary will come about when whatever's defined on the list tab. So when we go to the work orders, which is, first of all, is work test 90 and 91, we go to work order tracking, test 9. We have two listed here. So now that when we go to the map, if you can see here, the very center, there's a little plus sign. So when you go there, it says, oh, there's two there. Work test 90 and work test 91. And when I double click it into it, you see this is a summary of map tips. That's where that configuration does. So, and that is it for that. Now it's supposed to do a little bit more. Like if you get a whole bunch of work orders here, it should zoom into those areas, just to let you know. All right, let's go back to, and that's it. I think that we've finished. We finished this whole map manager subject here. And at least this gives you a good first step to understand visually what's going on, and then you can go off and start reading the spatial configuration document, get a more better understanding what's going on. So with that said, that is it. We've gone through all of it, and hopefully found all this helpful. And until next time, I'll see you soon. Thank you guys. Bye.